So I said I wanted this show to be like a bi-weekly thing, and I think it's been about 2 weeks since the last episode dropped. And the more I think about it, the more I realize I think that's a better number for having it to be a 2-week thing rather than every week, because I don't want to inundate the channel with this, and I want to have more time to make these a bit longer. And plus I feel it's better to just have these things build over time rather than scramble to try and find things to talk about. Not that I'm necessarily bad at finding a lot of things to talk about. It's more a case of I want these things to build up. I want to have lots of things in the episodes, so they're not just a whole bunch of short ones crowding up the channel and all that, you get more of a big one. And plus, like, my recording environments too are so inconsistent where I don't know what the days I'm going to be at my mom's house versus my dad's house always are. I'm always switching back and forth between them, and maybe something will come up. So having it be a 2-week thing gives me time to record segments at possibly both houses on different mics, which is a weird quality jump, but it gives me a chance to, it's a safety net, more or less. It gives me a chance to have things in flux. Not in flux, what the fuck am I saying? It gives me a place to go, ooh, I'm not entirely killed because it's a 1-week deadline, I can get this done in 2 weeks. So I think that's where this is gonna go, but don't expect me to uphold it entirely, because I am terrible at keeping schedules. I was in the Chromasticators earlier today, which, by the way, Discord hiatus is null and void, because in the last episode I was touting some big game about how the Discord hiatus was gonna save my life or whatever the fuck, and now I've just kind of realized it was a stupid idea in the first place, because I have this vlog called Idealizing the Past, or Stop Idealizing the Past. Basically, I make the argument that the reason why we see the past when we were alone as so good is because we only remember the good parts from it, and we don't remember how much bad was in it. And I had thought about, I'll be more happy if I do this Discord hiatus, because I remember back to when I was alone and when I was consuming all this great media. But I don't remember the grueling, terrible parts. I'm not looking up to those and saying, wow, my life should be like this. I'm only remembering the great pieces of media that I consumed. I'm not remembering the 8 hours that I just stared at a wall and felt lonely. And so, because I didn't have friends to fill that void, I just felt bad most of the time. Sure, I consumed a lot of great media at the time, but it's just a case of I am looking at only the good parts of this thing and not seeing what the bad was. And so I try to go back to what the thing was, and when I go back I realize, oh wait, there's all these flaws here, help, I need to get back to the way it was. Well, it is the way it is, I did replicate this feeling, I just realized this feeling has flaws. And so the Discord hiatus was a dumb idea, because I've already figured this stuff out. I already knew this thing, that if you idealize the past too much, you're gonna end up forgetting it has flaws, and when you try to copy the past, you end up just ending up with those same flaws that it had before, and it feels wrong because the image you're looking up to does not exist and cannot exist, So that was basically what the Discord hiatus was. It was a stupid idea. I got the same amount of work that I got done anyway, even when going in pro chats. I'm just gonna self-control a bit more and keep myself from going in there when there's something I explicitly need to work on. Discord hiatus didn't really do that much for me in terms of getting more work done. I am able to get plenty of work done with being in the pros. It's not that big of a deal. And I need to have a social life just to make me happy, because people ultimately make me feel very good inside, and I love them very much, and not having that element kind of drives me insane. That insaneness can build art, but also it builds insanity, and I don't necessarily want that. I can make art either way. One of the things that actually brought me to the Discord hiatus, and one of the things that made me want to do this podcast more consistent as a result of that was the fact that when I go into the Crows, when I talk to my friends, there is this immediate sense of, oh yes, this person can worry about me, this person can know about the things that I'm up to, they can know about the things that are coming in my voice or whatever's going on in my life, and they can worry about that. YouTube, I can vent to YouTube all I want and I don't care. People on YouTube, they don't exist. They're commenters, they exist in a void. People in the Crows, I can hear their voices, I can hear their reactions to everything I say as I say it. So I have to be very careful around them in terms of making them upset, you know. When I'm on YouTube, I can say whatever I want to about me or my life, because I don't need to worry about, you know, upsetting anyone or worrying anybody. But when my friends are right in front of my face and I know they're going to listen to this podcast, I have to watch what I say. I have to watch what I say in the chat itself. And there's a lot of feelings that I simply don't talk about just because I don't want to worry anyone. And with this podcast existing, the idea of the Discord hiatus, in part, was to feel more disconnected from my friends, and so I'd be able to get these words out into the public, into the world, without feeling the consequence of them being upset by what I was saying, by being worried about me and being worried for me and my emotional state. Where instead what I have is just it existing in the void that is the internet, speaking into a void endlessly, and having it as an archive. That's ultimately what I want for my YouTube channel. It's what I want to have, is to be an archive of a person, be a person that exists in the internet, that you can consume everything about them. And oftentimes there are things that I negate, there's information I withhold, because I don't want my friends to be upset by that, by seeing that information and to react to me, by getting a message after I release one of these episodes saying, hey, Outlaw, you know, what's going on here? You seem to, like, want to kill yourself or whatever. I don't want to have that happen, you know? I don't need that person worrying about me, because it's fine. I'll be fine. The way I vent, the way I fix the problem is through making a YouTube video about it. And if the problem isn't fixed, well, I don't want you worrying about me anyway, because there are more important things in your life than worrying about me. I know how painful it can be to worry for someone. I know how painful it can be to care about someone. And I always listen to what people have to say, because I feel that it's my obligation as a friend to do so. But it's also very hurtful, in a sense, that to have to listen to someone you know being in pain, it makes me very, very worried inside, and I oftentimes don't know how to deal with that emotional turmoil of having someone there that I care about and wanting to help them, but I just can't, other than by being there to let them vent. And in a lot of ways, you know, I am a shoulder to cry on, but being a shoulder to cry on is something that hurts quite a lot, because your friend is in pain and you are by osmosis experiencing that pain as well. And because I know how that is, I don't want to levy my problems onto others, because I don't want them to experience my pain by osmosis. That is creating more pain in the world, and more pain in the world is not a good thing. If I can keep my pain to myself, I can fix my pain on my own. And that's more or less where I come from this at, of not wanting to worry people, is I can keep them from feeling pain, then I will. And, I don't know. It's just, I imagine myself in this situation, and because I can see myself in that situation, I wouldn't want someone I care about to be in this situation as well. This is oftentimes how I view a lot of my actions in relation to other people, is by seeing how I will make them feel, or just understanding where they're coming from, and then trying to go on not the path of least resistance, on the path of the least pain, I suppose. I guess that terminology works there. The phrase that I was using earlier Yeah, it's the path that hurts the least, and the path that would, be the most effective while also getting the least casualties. That tends to be how I view these things. It's the very, I don't want to hurt nobody type and all that, which can be a detriment in some situations, and I'm very aware of that fact, but in general, I don't want to worry people. And so these podcasts, the reason they exist is so I can vent by making a YouTube video, and so I can be an archive of a person that exists, because I'm very, very into these arcs in people's YouTube channels where they get like suicidal and talk about, this comic book really affected me because I want to kill myself, stuff like that. I'm very, very into, because it gives you a personal connection with who you're watching. It makes you feel in tune to them on an emotional and core level. And I suppose you could call me an emo for liking that stuff, but I'm really, really into that feeling of connectivity, and to try and understand these deeper aspects of people, and to just have these things on the internet is a great way of doing that, because it feels very, very personal and close, and I love that. So that's the type of content that I want to make, because it's the type of content that I would want to consume. But as I said, the downfall of doing that is you have friends banging on your door saying, what's going on here, why are you cutting yourself and whatnot. I don't need that, because it breaks the narrative. It keeps the content from being made, because I know the reaction that I'm going to get. And so the Discord hiatus, it disconnects me from that feeling. And that lasted a little bit, I suppose. It's not going on anymore, but it was a time. It was a thing that existed for a little bit. I suppose I'm gonna have to figure out a way around this. I suppose I'm going to figure out how can I still make these deeper aspects of myself exist. Because, as I said in one of these cremation furnaces, before Struggles of an Outlaw 3 comes out, and I end YouTube, I end my YouTube career on that film in 2019, or January, or I should put it out in February, because that's the anniversary of my YouTube channel. I believe it's February 16th, but in any case, early 2019 is when it's going to come out. And that video will be my last video. And in the months before that, what I want to do is I want to release every idea I have, every experience that I've had, and just be a person that is an archive, that exists to be an archive, to be a full person you can just consume and experience. That's what I want to be. And so, to do that, you have to say some of the more worrying aspects of yourself. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around how to do that, with also having these weird mental blocks that I seem to possess. And this show must go on. I gotta figure out a way. I have a tendency of becoming incredibly jealous of other people, and this is something that I've taken the steps to lessen the effects of. It's something that, because I'm aware of it happening, I keep myself from acting on it, but it is nonetheless a flaw that exists and has continued to exist. I see someone interacting with somebody else, and my immediate assumption is that that friend is going to leave me. That because they're spending so much time with this person who's very obviously cooler than me, right? I mean, they care about them more, so it's, who cares? Friends on a ranking. It's cool to rank friends, guys. I see that they're interacting with this person, and my immediate assumption is that I'm going to be left. they're going to leave me in the dust and that they're never going to care about me again. Because why would they? What is there about me to care about? What is there about me that's cool? I don't have much going on here, you know? So, with this rather low view of myself, every time I see someone who is becoming closer to one of my close friends, I get immensely jealous of them, not because I'm like this weird narcissist guy who, you know, wants to have all the attention. It's because I feel like I'm never going to get that attention again, that I feel like I'm simply going to be slowly deserted and left in the dust. I don't think that's the case with a lot of my friends, but it's something that I nonetheless feel, and that it clouds my judgment much of the time. It ends up in my head, and it kind of... the emotions of it take away the reasoning, you know. I try to reason myself and logic myself through the situation, and I've had more success in doing so recently, but much of the time, the emotions are just very, very strong. And so, it's something that, because I'm aware of it, I've gotten better at dealing with it, but it's very big of a problem of mine, that I feel like all my friends are going to desert me, because I can't fucking see what's cool about me, you know. I can't see why any of these people would wanna stick around me for so long. Half the time when I make like one, or not half the time, I should say like every time, you know, every time I make a mistake, I always feel like, oh, well, that was the one. They just realized I'm boring, because I think I'm boring as hell, you know? I think there are some interesting aspects of my life. I said in a vlog I did about, like, Daymaster's 100 videos video, or 1 year, that was the video she did, where I was responding to it, and I think I said in my vlog, you know, there are interesting aspects of my life I like to talk about because they're different from the norm or whatever. I think that's true, but me as a person, outside of those, like, random events, I'm bad at talking, first of all. I'm incredibly bad at telling jokes. Like, every single joke that I tell is this, like, weird, half-ironic thing where I remember a piece of information, and, like, because I remember that piece of information, the joke then becomes to insert that into the conversation in a way that no one would have done but me. Like, the joke is that I'm doing something that's autistic. That has always been my sense of humor, and it's always been, frankly, quite terrible. And so, you know, I'm very bad at socializing with people. I'm incredibly awkward, especially in real life. Like, when I go outside to meet people, you know, I'm just like this weird, you know, faggot that kind of exists and doesn't really say anything because I feel like my physical presence is wrong. Like, existing physically with someone is just very wrong. I'm insanely uncomfortable and insanely anxious the entire time because, first of all, I look wrong, you know? I don't like the body that I'm in, and I don't like, you know, people seeing that. That just feels weird, and there's a big ball of feelings there. I don't know what it would be like if I interacted physically with someone I'm comfortable with, and when I say that, I just mean literally standing in front of someone, or just sitting next to them, or whatever, or just being in their presence in general. I don't mean, like, intimate physicality, but, like, you know, if I was just around someone. I've never been around someone that I'm comfortable with. Ever. I've never been comfortable around my family once. I've never been comfortable around any of my in-real-life friends. And just to have someone that I feel like I could tell about almost anything to, just to have someone who I feel like isn't going to hurt me, I've never had that in my, you know, in my physical plane of existence. And so I have no idea how I would react to that. I'm getting pretty hyped for CrowCon, just because I want to see what that's like. But in general, as a rule, I think I'm pretty awkward just with people who, you know, normies who I don't know and won't understand me and I don't care about. I can go on way too long about things. This is another problem I have. I have a very droning voice. My voice is just... Like, it's this weird monotonal thing where I don't know how to say sentences right a lot of the time. Like, I put words in weird ways. I say way too much. I say the word like all the time, which I don't think that's that bad. You know, my favorite speaker of all time, Digi, he says like all the time, and it doesn't really bother me. It's just, I feel like I do it too much. I say all the fucking time, and it's terrible. I hate how much I say I watched a video on this, by this... See, I just did it again. God fucking damn it. By this guy, where basically what he said to do was close your mouth, start talking, begin a sentence, you see commas in the sentence, and those usually mark pauses, so simply visualize that, pause, and then keep going, and close your mouth every time you stop. And when you get to a period, rest. Those are signifiers of you not resting. It's you trying to think and then verbalizing your own thought process rather than simply saying quiet. And I just said saying quiet instead of staying quiet. This is a word pronunciation problem I have where I say words wrong all the fucking time, but whatever. So, as I was explaining how not to say I was trying to demonstrate how to, within that speech about the thing, it's pretty meta. God fucking damn it, I just did it again! Fuck. Yeah, this is still something I'm trying to work through. It's something that I'm still trying to fix, as trying to be an impactful speaker, as trying to be a speaker people can listen to and not want to fucking kill themselves. In order to be someone people take seriously and will listen to on YouTube, you can't say you can't say it all the time, or people will click out of the video and they'll think you're just an awkward, boring faggot. So it's something that I'm working through. It's something I'm trying to change. The fact that I have so many videos that do that, just, oh god, it makes me so mad. And there are on topics. I just said there are on topics. They use the word they. This is what I do. I can't fucking speak properly. Like, it's, I don't know, man. Like, they're on topics that I really cared about and that I wanted to do well, and I just have these speaking problems. How can I recommend this to anybody to make them understand my opinion if there are all these goddamn speaking issues in them? When I cut the ums out, it sounds unnatural, it sounds weird. You know, I can't just cut them out, I just want to leave it unedited and have it sound good. Why? Why can't I do these things right? And I've spent, like, almost 4 fucking years doing this, and I haven't made that much progress. You know, I'm still bad at talking after almost, like, 4 years of doing this thing. And it... God, it boggles my mind. It really, really upsets me that I just can't do these things good. I just did it again. God, fuck. Yeah. It's a terrible fate. Ugh. Gross. I don't know what the point of this was. Yeah, jealousy. I was talking about jealousy and then I got on like a weird tangent, but I think that unnecessary rant that I went on kind of demonstrates exactly how I feel about a lot of these things, exactly the mindset that I go into. I'm very hard on myself, and I feel, you know, very negativistic about a lot of things pertaining to myself. And so, when I have this particularly low view of the things that I do and of who I am, it only seems natural that someone I deeply care about would just leave. I left the Chromasticators at one point over someone who I didn't like leaving, or over someone who I didn't like joining. And so I left the server because I thought it wouldn't be an issue. Because I thought no one in the Chromasticators cared about me. It turned out that wasn't the case, but I left at the time because I thought I was lifting a burden on them. I thought, I am an annoyance to this group, so I'm gonna leave, and it's gonna be a benefit to them. I never thought they'd actually be upset that I left, because I never saw myself as anything but an annoyance, and it confused me at the time. It confused me why anyone was upset, because I never saw myself as someone who was interesting or important within the group. And so, naturally, when I have this mindset, jealousy becomes very easy. It's a defense mechanism, in a way. It's me trying to keep my friends from seeing people who are very clearly better than me, in my eyes at least, because I feel like I'm going to be replaced and left as soon as they see anyone who's half better than I am, because I'm just that boring that they're just going to up and leave. And so, this has been a big problem of mine, just acting aggressive towards these types of people, and just acting like a huge cunt. I don't do it anymore, but I used to. And that was why. It was because I just, I just didn't want to be replaced. I just didn't want to feel alone again. Because I've spent a large portion of my life just having no one I felt comfortable around. Just having no one I cared about on that level, and that I felt that happy being around. I care a lot about my friends. And when they, when I feel like they're on the cusp of leaving, or every single time I open my mouth when I feel like they're just going to be disgusted with me, I begin to get really upset because I don't want them to go.